How we doing there, boys and girls? Manthieus here, and welcome back to another video. So, as you can see, the factory is growing. A nice few additional hours of play has expanded our little factory a little bit further. I said I'd keep you guys up to date with what we're doing and how we're progressing through it. I know a few of you are choosing to play Factorio for the first time yourself. So I'm trying to keep this little series as a bit of an update of how my factory is built, less so of like a playthrough or a full like tutorial mode for Factorio. That will come in the future. I'll do little videos specifically designed on certain modules of the game. But as you can see in comparison to last video, we're getting places. We have expanded our sort of area of production. We have put in a perimeter wall. This wall all the way around the outside now flows round and is designed to keep the bugs at bay, at least, you know, somewhat. If we zoom into this a little bit, you can see it's a very simple design. We just have a belt that runs all the way around the edge of our factory, powered by some gun turrets, dotted some gun turrets about. You can see at the moment they're still full of yellow ammo. I have upgraded it to the red ammo to give us a little bit more firepower to keep the locals at bay. The bugs are deciding to get a little bit closer. They are working their way in slowly but surely. But for the most part, this little perimeter wall, at least until the bugs evolve too far, is doing its job nicely. It's keeping things at bay. One other significant change that we've made to the base is that you may notice I've expanded this grid out quite significantly. This is just roughly a guide for where I'm going to go, where I'm going to plan to build things. Now, I've got the advantage that I've played Factorio a whole bunch, so this is not necessarily... I kind of know that I can see into the future a little bit, so I kind of know where I need to go, what's going to come next, and how I can plan ahead for that. One thing that we've done is basically, well, to be honest, at the moment, we've not really expanded forward very much for quite a while. We started with our modest little base. We then progressed on to something a little bit more sizable that produces a bunch of components that we need to go out and build the base. And then that's kind of what we did. We started to build things. I think at the end of last episode, we had our first iron smelting bay in place. And I was planning on building the copper one. Since then, though, we have the first copper bay in. It's up and running. It's not very well supplied with raw materials as of yet, but we're going to fix that in the not too distant future. One thing we have done is basically planned out the layout of our bus. We said that we're going to run all of our materials through the middle of the base. And once we've got them running through the middle of the base, we can branch them off to wherever we need stuff. And so I've kind of planned that a little bit. Now, this may not be perfectly ratioed for the end game, but I think it's going to work quite well and is going to allow us to build a reasonable little factory, at least to get up, at least to launch our first few rockets. So we're going to have a bunch of iron plates next to a bunch of copper plates, and we've mirrored this. Mirrored it in reverse, but on the opposite side of the bus. So we're then down at the bottom, we're going to have most of our copper coming in, but with a little bit of iron. This is just so, you can see our bus is quite tall. If we need copper up here, having to run belts all the way up, and then if we need iron down the bottom, running all the belts down, is a lot of resources, and it means there's lots of this jumpy business going on, and it's nicer to just have a little bit of the resources at the top and the bottom. Now, for the moment, we've not plugged half of this in. This will be when we expand our smelting. Most people, and especially me, underestimate just how many materials you need in this game by the time you progress forward. I did say in the last video that one of these smelting arrays will probably enough to last us till the end of the game, and that's not really true. It's enough to definitely get you up and running, but my plan is to have one smelting array for iron here, backed up with probably another two, meaning that we can have a dedicated bay providing 4 lanes on the belt. That's kind of the plan. I have snuck in a steel one. We made a little steel design earlier today on stream. Steel is kind of quite easy. You just basically chop your iron smelter in half, and then you take the iron that you've produced, and then you feed that back in, and the ratio works out quite nicely, so you can You can take half of the iron you produce, pump it into steel, and then it all flies out the bottom end. Like I said, if people are interested, I'll do some more in detail and depth, sort of deep dives into some of these little modules, so you can try and replicate them yourselves if you wish. But I'm trying to sort of give my walkthrough of the first run through without being too spoilerific. Half of the fun of Factorio is working out all the numbers and equations and balancing everything, so I don't want to give too much away for now. But if nothing else, it may give you a bit of an indication to where you need to go and roughly what sort of size you might need to get to. We have bugs arriving. Haha, the bugs are coming back. We can now see that the bugs are starting to evolve. We have medium biters. Our gun turrets are only just about to kill them. We may need to up the defenses a little bit. Maybe an actual defensive perimeter wall may not be a bad idea. We'll have to see. But so we've increased our smelting quite some. We made a green circuit build. I was quite proud of this build. I've taken inspiration from a few other creators and other people who have played Factorio, and just purely by the fact I've played this game a few times already. But we made these little modules that tile quite nicely and expand quite nicely as the game goes on. It's using the default 3:2 ratio. This is a handy little ratio to be aware of, at least for green circuits, that for every 3 little factories producing the copper cables, you need 2 factories producing the circuits, and that kind of balances quite nicely. I took this design and expanded it to try and utilize yellow belts to begin with. If in the future we upgrade to red belts, we can plug this second section in. This will allow the materials to flow through faster and allow us to produce a lot more green circuits. And then maybe long term in the future, we end up with blue belts, which are the super fast belts. And then we can plug in the third module and upgrade all of the belts to blue. And then it will go super speedy and it will be very, very fast. We've been able to tile this 3 times, and this as a total, or these 3 to start with at the very least, should saturate 4 yellow belts of green circuits. Now, to you, at least at the very beginning of the game, that might sound like a lot. If you're a real end game veteran of Factorio, you'll know that 4 belts of greens probably won't get you anywhere eventually, but we've got room to grow. This is kind of the point with this. We've got room to grow. And the last thing that we did on stream today was set up a little shopping centre. A mall, as some people call it. A hub, as some other people call it. This is a very, very popular design, also by a creator known as Nilaus. He's put a lot of time and effort into sort of laying these out in a logical fashion. I'm a big advocate of this game once you've played through a couple of times to utilize the expertise of others. Sure, a lot of the fun in Factorio is figuring all of this stuff out, but once you've done it once or twice already, it's nice to just be able to copy in a blueprint, place it down. We did make a few changes to this. We got rid of all of the logistics side of things, keeping it very vanilla, very dumb at the moment. We'll add robots in later and all the logistics stuff will kick in. We also downgraded it all to yellow belt. Using red belts at this moment in time is just going to be way too resource intensive. We have made some red belts, but you may spot that when you try and start producing red belts and upgrading your yellow belts to red belts, you burn through a lot of iron really, really quickly. And this leads me to my to-do list for the next couple of hours of playthrough on this. We need to vastly increase the amount of materials that we have coming into the base. This iron is, it's doing its bit, but it's not going to last very long. Same with our coal, copper, and stone. These starter materials are going to run out very quickly. We're going to need to go and secure some of these bigger iron patches. Not necessarily bigger in physical size, but denser in supply of materials. If we can, I was lucky to find like what appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4 monstrously large iron nodes up the top here, or iron mines. We can run out and we can tap these and we can bring the resources in and we can bring these to a base. And this will give us a much, much better supply of raw materials. Now, whether we choose to do it by trains or whether we do it by belts, I haven't quite decided yet. Trains are good, but trains are a big aspect of the game. Once you push forward, you pretty much always have to end up using trains at some point. It just depends when you want to start using them. I do kind of have the facilities to start up and running with trains, but lots of stone goes into trains, lots of iron goes into trains. Those materials might be better suited to just push forward the base a little bit. So yes, we'll need to go get some more resources before too long and tap those into these new big smelters we've made. And we're out of science. We're out of science. Now, one of my big rules for Factorio is always be researching something. But I've hit a problem. I've hit a problem that I've ran out of things to research. I only have yellow and green science fully up and running at this moment. And even based on our new sized base, we haven't even rebuilt those modules yet. We're still using this little design over here to make our red and green science. But this was actually good enough over a couple of hours to churn through every single research that uses just the red and the green science. Black science or military science is the next one that we need to progress any further. But ultimately, what we really want to be trying to produce is the blue science. This is going to come soon. Blue science is going to require us to do a few things first, though. For blue science, we need oil. Oil is probably the next big thing on our list. Oil we're going to get next. And I'm kind of lucky that we've got an oil patch to the south. I don't particularly want to use this because it's going to end up being in the middle of the base. I'll probably use this oil patch at the south. We tap this oil, we extract it from the ground, and then we can plug that straight into a little refinery. And from oil, we can start making plastic, which allows us to make the red circuits, the next grade of electrical circuit. And that's the big component for us to be able to unlock the blue science packs. And so, within the next few hours, this factory is probably going to skyrocket forward in its performance and its ability. So far, it's felt a lot like we're just kind of repeating ourselves. We made some little basic things. We upgraded to some slightly bigger, slightly faster things. And now we've replicated the same again, but on a much bigger scale. But we haven't really gone forward much. We've kind of defended ourselves and planned ahead, but we've not really pushed forward. Once we get some red and green science done at scale, we can start unlocking oil and then unlocking the blue science or military science, and then we can really push forward. That's kind of the plan. That's the next big step. And with that comes the red science. So I'll leave it there for today's little video. There's a nice little update. I'm hoping you can see how the factory is progressing as we go forward. It's starting to be planned out. It's starting to take shape, and I would expect over the next few hours of play we can really drive forward with some big significant changes. If you would like to see a full guide, sort of full playthrough series, please do let me know in the comments down below. I'm more than happy to do it because I absolutely love this game. But like I said, I'm trying to keep this one a little bit spoiler free. I don't want to provide all of the answers to everybody straight away because I know there's a bunch of new people who are playing through Factorio for the first time, and I don't want to diminish their experience of their first playthrough. If you have been playing Factorio, drop some screenshots in the Discord. I really love seeing people's first bases, how they put things together and how they build things. It's really interesting to see things from other perspective. I've played this game enough that I've kind of worked out a lot of the answers already, and so I tend to feel as if, you know, a lot of the puzzle pieces have been solved already when I play through the game again. Tends to be why I enjoy mostly playing the modded versions of the game. C-Block is a big favourite of mine. Crastorio is another one that I enjoy, and more recently people have been playing the space exploration mod, one that I've not really touched on much, but I think is something that I'm going to have to throw some hours at maybe. But if you're enjoying these videos, boys and girls, please let me know in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you're enjoying, and until we expand our factory more, I'll leave it there. Have a good one, boys and girls. Catch you next time. Peace.